Hello and welcome back. In this video, we'll explore how we can generate random test data using Studio. So, you'll get the chance to auto-generate random test data using the activities from the testing package. Run the process and see how it behaves in different situations. Finding data for happy path scenarios or straightforward scenarios in your RPA workflows is relatively easy. However, the real challenge lies in locating and testing data for exception scenarios or rarely encountered scenarios within your workflow. This is a common situation faced by testing teams, especially considering GDPR and PCI compliance or privacy requirements. Using production data is not recommended due to privacy concerns. And even masking private data can create invalid or unrealistic datasets. To address this challenge, the latest trend is to generate synthetic test data. We've incorporated this capability into our test suite as well. Before delving into UiPath Studio to review our process, let's take a closer look at the data that we'll use. By now, you should be familiar with Acme System 1. We're going to use this information from the Work Item Details page as it suits our purpose. Let's go to Studio and find out how to generate data automatically. In the Activities panel, we have a range of activities that allow us to generate random data. To use these activities, we need to include the UiPath Testing Activities package as a dependency in our project. And this package is automatically installed by default. These activities are named in a way that lets us know exactly what they're used for. Provide random last name, provide random data, provide random address as a dictionary, and so on. Okay, so we have here a pre-built workflow that uses all of these activities. Let's go through it. We're first building the data table with the information that we saw earlier on the Work Items Details page. Then we're going to generate 50 rows of this random data and extract it as an Excel file. We want the workflow to generate the given name and the last name. And after that, assign these two for the client name. Once again, we want to generate a random number for the client number. We're making use of the minimum and maximum fields to specify the range. We're next going to generate the client ID based on the first initial of the given name and last name plus the client number that we've just obtained. Next, we're generating a random client address and assign the value to the client country. We can notice that we also generate a random number for the work item ID and a random date for the work item date. Of course, we assign a variable, counter, and initialize it by incrementing its previous value, so counter +1. Then add all of this information to a data table. And finally, we write this data table in an Excel file. Great, it's time to run the workflow and see how it executes. Our process works as expected, so let's just confirm it from the project panel. And here it is, the client details Excel file, with all of the 50 randomly generated data entries. So far, so good. Let's say that we want to save this data centrally in Orchestrator and not locally. Here's what we need to do. Go to Orchestrator and on the testing page, navigate to Test Data Queues. Let's go ahead and create a test data queue. Give it a name, a description, and upload a JSON schema. It might be obvious that the schema contains the details from the Work Item Details page in Acme System 1. Click Add, and here we have our queue with its details. Now, how do we populate the queue with the data that we randomly generated? That's simple too. Let's go back to Studio and see what activities we have available in the Test Data Queues section. Bulk Add Test Data Queue Items is the one that we need. So let's drag it to the Designer panel right at the end of the workflow. Configure it with the queue name and provide the data table in which our data resides. And let's run the workflow again. Awesome! The queue has been updated with the 50 rows with the data that was randomly generated. And this concludes our demo on how to generate test data synthetically using Studio and upload it to a central repository within an orchestrator test data queues. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy automation!